Welcome back to the Worldwide Birder Endangered Species Update, a segment where I inform you of the latest news of imperiled bird species. I've got some intriguing stories on deck, but let's begin with an update for a bird that was thought to be extinct for 300 years. The Bermuda Petrel has got to have one of the most epic histories of any bird. It's a well-known Lazarus species. That's a term for a species that was thought to be extinct, only to be rediscovered much later. Considered to be a casualty of the humans and animals that invaded its Bermuda home in the 17th century, this seabird stood no chance as it was taken from its burrows and killed during its most vulnerable time. After several recently deceased specimens were found in the early 20th century, ornithologists began to have hope that the Bermuda Petrel may be surviving on a remote Bermuda island. After several expeditions failed to find the Bermuda Petrel, at long last the species was rediscovered in 1951 when 7 pairs were found on remote Bermuda islands. This quickly led to the creation of a recovery program for the Bermuda Petrel, known locally as the Cahao. After some trial and error, the Cahao recovery program is a great success. One of the first 24/7 conservation live streams was deployed to depict what life is like for the Cahao in its underground burrow. Not only is this technology that powers these cameras unobtrusive to the Bermuda Petrel, it's also far cheaper than anything else on the market. That's because Jean-Pierre Rouja, a conservation advocate for the Bermuda Petrel, assembled these cameras by himself. This saves thousands of dollars for the Bermuda Petrel recovery program and allows them to put that money elsewhere to help the Bermuda Petrels in other ways.
Another important advancement in conservation technology is being tested on the Bermuda Petrel's breeding grounds.
You see, rats are a major problem for the Bermuda Petrel. If any rat got onto an island where the Bermuda Petrels breed, it could be devastating for these seabirds. In the past, the conservation effort had relied on volunteers to watch hours and hours of live camera traps to see if any rats were on the islands. Not only is this inefficient, it's also imperfect, as rats could sneak by when a volunteer wasn't looking.
So, to up their rat detection game, the Cahao Recovery Program is teaming up with the Nature Conservancy to test AI-powered rat detection systems. If this system is successful, it could be a game changer for the Bermuda Petrel recovery and further bolster the population of 500 birds.
After that encouraging update about the Bermuda Petrel, I've got to share some disheartening news about a cockatoo endemic to Western Australia. The Carnaby's Black-Cockatoo is a striking, large black cockatoo with white cheek patches. Like most parrots, it's very social. They gather into large groups and fly around in search of food. Residents in places like Perth used to report massive groups of these Carnaby's black cockatoos flying around, and they would number in the thousands. However, groups of this size are long gone, and that's because Carnaby's black cockatoos have been in decline for the last 50 years. There are several factors driving the decline of Carnaby's black cockatoos. However, the biggest factor is definitely habitat loss, as studies confirm that this species has lost about a third of its breeding habitat in the last 30 years. Large swaths of habitat have been cleared to make way for agriculture and residential developments. Incredibly, there was a bounty on these birds until 1982 because of the perceived damage that they caused to pine plantations and commercial crops. Although the bounty is no more, the damage has been done, as there are only about 40,000 Carnaby's black cockatoos remaining. Climate change has also dealt a severe blow to this species, as birds have been found dead following recent extreme heat events and other natural disasters. Fortunately, some groups are stepping up to help this species. Carnaby's Crusaders is a group that has initiated a program to install nest tubes in trees to help the recovery of the Carnaby's black cockatoo. Think of these nest tubes as a bougie birdhouse. The Carnaby's black cockatoos have taken well to these artificial nesting habitats, but all of this effort will be for nothing if habitat loss isn't stopped. Now is a pivotal time for the Carnaby's black cockatoo. Residents of Western Australia must start reforestation efforts and halt habitat loss if they want to keep their beloved bird around. Now, time for some more good endangered bird species news.
The Sarus Crane is a bird with 3 distinct subspecies.
The sharp-bee-eye subspecies is found in Southeast Asia, and it's the most imperiled, with only 800 to 1,000 birds remaining. Fortunately, conservationists have been working on solutions to help this endangered subspecies.
In Vietnam, specifically, a program has been initiated to bolster the tiny population within the country.
A zoo in Thailand has been exporting Sarus cranes to Vietnam so they could be released in Tram Chim National Park. A recent shipment that arrived in early April was the second shipment of 6 to arrive in Vietnam since August of 2024. The zoo plans to continue distributing Sarus cranes to Vietnam through 2028.
At which point, Vietnamese conservation organizations will start releasing their own captive bred Sarus cranes through 2032. By that point, conservationists hope that Vietnam will have a self-sustaining Sarus Crane population.
Vietnamese birders are thrilled by the prospect of having a breeding population of Sarus cranes in their country again. Although these cranes have done reasonably well in Cambodia, they have not been able to get a foothold in Vietnam for whatever reason, but this recovery effort is off to a very promising start. Okay, the roller coaster of this endangered species update continues with more bad bird news. You've probably heard of northern cardinals, a dazzling species of songbird native to eastern North America, and chances are you've probably also heard about a rare mutation that can cause northern cardinals to be yellow. Although these mutant yellow northern cardinals have impressed everyone who's gotten to see them, they are not the original yellow cardinal. No, that title belongs to a South American species creatively named Yellow Cardinal. Although these two cardinal species are completely unrelated, they both have crests and they both have similar looking bills. Of course, what immediately stands out about this species is its gorgeous yellow plumage. This makes it easy for the males to stand out to prospective ladies. Unfortunately, it also makes it very easy for poachers to capture the males. And what's worse is that not only are these yellow cardinals gorgeous, but they also have a beautiful song. This makes them highly desirable in the cage bird trade and no doubt drives declines in their populations. Although habitat loss has doubtlessly contributed to the reduction of yellow cardinals, poaching is thought to be the most major reason why the species is in decline. Population estimates for the yellow cardinal assert that there are only about 1,500 to 3,000 individuals left in the wild. A recent study looked at how things like climate change to human development will impact the yellow cardinal in future years. This study found that only limited numbers of yellow cardinals are surviving in areas directly adjacent to high human densities. However, it found that yellow cardinals will increasingly come into contact with these areas in the future as urbanization encroaches and climate change threatens to push them out of their current habitats. That's bad. Overall, yellow cardinals urgently need protection from poachers, and they would also benefit from more habitat put aside for their conservation. Considering the bleak outlook for wild populations, Uruguay and Brazil have already started captive breeding programs for the yellow cardinal, stocked with birds that have been seized from poachers. Let's end this endangered species update on a high note. The Pallas fish eagle is a large, endangered raptor species that exhibits fascinating reverse migration. What this means is that it breeds during the winter in places like India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Meanwhile, after the breeding season, it travels to northern Asia and hangs out there during their summers. Because there are only a few thousand Pallas fish eagles remaining, this makes them a high conservation priority. During their non-breeding season in Mongolia, several birds have been fitted with transmitters to track their movements. One such bird is a male Pallas fish eagle named Eider. Eider was tagged in Mongolia in August of 2020, and he has returned to breed in Kaziranga National Park every year since. As of mid-March, officials have confirmed that Eider has once again returned to Kaziranga National Park, and he's getting ready to breed in this upcoming breeding season. Assam and nearby Bangladesh seem to be about the only areas that have maintained sizable concentrations of Pallas fish eagle populations. Everywhere else in their breeding range seems to have lost the wetland habitat and large trees that Pallas fish eagles need to flourish. Although some nesting trees are removed by farmers who are concerned about these eagles eating their domestic poultry, most people in Assam and Bangladesh love seeing Pallas fish eagles, and there seems to be strong public support for the conservation of this species. Well, that's all for this endangered species update. If you want to see more content like this, you can check out my previous endangered species update here. And if you did like this content, please consider hitting that like button and joining my flock here on YouTube. This is Connor from WorldwideBirder, signing off.